ever had that feeling, that deep down worry about what your life's purpose really is? Especially if having kids isn't, your main goal. Well, today we are digging into a really fascinating philosophy that says the rules for living a meaningful life, they've completely changed for our generation. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get into that modern anxiety about purpose. Then we'll unpack this core idea called life's debt. After that, we'll see just how different our mission is from our parents' generation, which leads us to this pretty bold new rule for parenting. And finally, we'll look at what it all means for finding our place in the world today. Okay, let's just dive right in. We're going to start with a question that I think a lot of us really struggle with. It's a very modern kind of anxiety. Forever, it seems, the answer to what's my purpose was pretty simple. You raise a family. But what if that's not your plan? This philosophy argues that that whole anxiety is basically a holdover from the past, and our real purpose has actually evolved into something totally different. So, to really get our heads around this new purpose, we first have to understand a really central idea from the source material. It's this concept that we are all born with a kind of debt that we have to repay. Now, when you hear debt, you're probably thinking money, right? But that's not it at all. Think of it more like a mission or a responsibility that we all have to just leave the world a little bit better than we found it, to make a positive impact while we're here. Okay, so according to this philosophy, there are two ways to settle this debt. The first way is indirect. You have kids, and then they go on to contribute to the world. The second path is direct. You use your own life and your own actions to contribute directly to society. And here's the absolute key. The main path has totally switched. And this brings us to a massive turning point in this whole idea, a really stark difference between our parents' generation and ours. So for our parents' generation, life was basically a 70-30 split. A whopping 70% of their energy, their focus, their sacrifice was for their kids. That's how they paid back their life's debt indirectly. Their own personal goals kind of took a back seat, filling up that other 30%. But for us, wow, the script has been completely flipped. It's the total opposite. We are now expected to put 70% of our life's energy into our own growth and our direct contribution to the world, and only a maximum of 30% toward our children. So what on earth caused such a huge shift? Well, the answer is that we've moved into what the source calls an intellectual society. It's an era where things like knowledge and what you as an individual can contribute are the most important things. The responsibility to pay back that life's debt, you just can't pass it on anymore. It's on us, right here, right now, to do it ourselves. All right, so if 70% of our focus is now on our own mission, what does that actually mean for being a parent? This brings us to a very clear and maybe a little controversial new rule. The number is 30%. And according to this philosophy, this isn't just a friendly suggestion. It's presented as a hard limit, a new law of nature for our time, defining exactly how much of our life's energy should go toward our children. The idea is that this 30% is the perfect amount of energy a child needs to thrive. But that other 70%, that has to be for you, for living your own life and fulfilling your direct duty to society. And there is a very direct warning that comes with this rule. Investing more doesn't help. It actually hurts. The thinking here is that if you pour more than 30% into your child, it creates a situation where you'll eventually face real difficulties because of that child, and it ends up being bad for both of you. So let's tie all of this together. What does this new model of having a purpose actually look like when you put it into practice? It really asks for a complete rethink of our life's mission. So our job, our main task, is no longer to live for our kids. It's to live for ourselves, but in a way that helps the world. It's about taking full ownership of our own impact, of settling our own life's debt, and not just kicking the can down the road for the next generation to deal with. And that brings us right back to where we started, that worry over whether or not you have children. This philosophy says that's kind of missing the point. Your meaning in life is defined by how significant your own life is, by your direct contributions. Being a parent can absolutely be part of that, but it is not the whole story anymore. This just reframes everything, doesn't it? It shifts the focus from will I have kids to a much more personal and maybe even tougher question. If 70% of your life is for your own mission, what are you going to do with it?